Well, palms up, and welcome to another episode of the Palms Up Show. Guys, I tell you, welcome back. Tell a friend, palms up. We are on the air. And guys, those of you that are seeing this live stream on our YouTube, please take care to share to the Facebook so that we can bring our Facebook family in. As you would imagine, the snow has fallen, and of course, the technical guards are busy. So we're going to get this show done, and we're going to get it rotated everywhere so you guys can have an opportunity to hear the wonderful, wonderful show that we have planned for you this evening. Oh my goodness, guys, it's your girl. We're back for another episode of the Palms Up Show. It's your girl back with our sidekick, Overseer Ann Coles, our real talk. We're going to go and hear from her in just a moment. And guys, we've got some beautiful souls on the platform tonight that have taken the time out despite the weather to come before you and talk to you a little bit about all things community, all things Black excellence, and all things forward we march. How about that? You know what it is. Palms up. Guys, it's your girl. It's your girl. We are coming to you live on our YouTube channel. Facebook is giving us some challenges, so get the word out. We're going to make sure to circulate and rotate this on the back end. Hey, guys, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. How about that? I tell you, many of you, we've got guests that are coming into the Zoom platform. You are so welcome to come in. I just ask that you guys would please mute so that we can get through the word on the street and we can start talking to these beautiful souls on our platform. Amen. All righty, let's talk. Word on the street is that your council member, Ward 7 council member, Mr. Vincent Gray, is now home recovering. Those of you that will remember, I'm sorry that Mr. Gray actually had fallen ill. And so what we understand is that he is home now recovering per OAN network. And then also they're saying that he's not currently participating in any council meeting. Okay, Ward 7, now's your time to talk it up. Look like there's going to be some changes in that ward if we can't get him healthy. Now is the time to speak it up and educate yourselves. We've got to get responsible leadership in these seats so that we can get some life conditions changed. Palms up. All right, I'm just saying all of this affects your living and livelihood. Newsbreak says that as of January the 1st, DC has new laws that went into effect. Yeah, they say that the living wage has went up to $15.50 an hour, and that in July 1st, it's going to increase to $16.10 an hour. Guys, they say also, as of January the 1st in DC, gas-powered leaf blowers are no longer allowed. Guys, you better get in the know and understand what it is. They also tell us that as of January the 1st, coverage for prescription drugs, those of you out there battling your diabetes and the price and the cost of the insulin, they are now putting something in place to protect you all, that these insurers are not able to bill you more than $30 in a 30-day period for your insulin. Guys, we're going to put these wonderful stories on our site, healthydcandme.org. Spell the word "and" out. It's time to get in the know so that we can make some changes to our life, no doubt. Palms up.
Palms up.
Before we go forward and before I close out the word on the street segment, I want us to take a moment of silence for all of our beautiful, beautiful family members and community members that are out there still going through. And as you know, we put in a prayer request for our dear MI mother, Regina, who is battling her medical challenges. So guys, moment of silence, please. God bless you out there, all of you family and community members that are dealing with something. You are not alone. Palms up to you. Reach out and let us know, healthydcandme.org, and let us know how we can help you. Hey guys, I want to close the word on the street segment out with something very interesting. Pay attention. If you think that the work that we're doing is not catching the attention of our folks out there, I'll just term them folks, I want to read you something. Reason being, we're always saying who's watching the kingdom out there. Well, I want you to know that the Palms Up platform, we got an email, and the email indicated that that they were concerned that we were race baiting. This gentleman indicated that he was concerned that the Healthy DCME Leadership Coalition was pushing the understanding of what did he say? Systemic racism. He said that there is no systemic racism, and that we need to leave this country if we're not happy with the current conditions. And obviously he identified himself as a Trump supporter. So we're going to post this information in its totality on our website, but more importantly, we're going to extend an invite to this young man to give him an opportunity to see if he's willing to come out from behind the keyboard so that he can come and talk about the concerns that are facing our community and help us to understand why it is he doesn't think that there is present day systemic racism. Hey guys, we do this work because we want to educate folks, and we can't go backwards, we can only go forward. Palms up. All right, guys. Without any further ado, I want to bring to the forefront a beautiful, beautiful queen. She's our home girl. That's right. She's from the district. And we're going to hear all about her history and her beautiful, beautiful journey. I want to give you a couple of facts just to let you know who's on the platform tonight. I want you to know that Miss Sylvia Traymore Morrison is the only renowned African-American female impressionist in the country. Okay, maybe you didn't know that she has opened for the likes of Whitney Houston. I understand that she's been mentored by our dear Mr. Fred Fox. And then when I went digging even further, I found out that Dick Gregory, the incomparable Dick Gregory, gave her one of her first gigs at the Apollo Theater, they tell me. And they tell me that she was replacing Mr. Richard Pryor. I don't know if you get it yet, but I'm dropping some legends here. We got a legend on the platform tonight, and she's our home girl. Hey, Sylvia, welcome to the platform.
Thank you. Let me just, before we go any further, let me tell you about your energy. Let me tell you about your energy. You bring it. Soon as you get the microphone in your hand, you add it. You are at it. And I am so impressed and inspired. And secondly, I cannot believe that John Herr is on this platform. This is one of my oldest comedy friends from the DMV area. He's just done such, and I know you're going to introduce him, but I have to let him know that I'm absolutely thrilled that he's on this. And yes, by the way,
the feeling is mutual.
Oh, thank you, John. Thank you. So he's so smart. Rhonda, he's so smart. Wait till he talks. He's off the chain.
I wasn't planning on talking.
I saw you pop up.
I just wanted to make one baby little correction to my history. I am no longer the only African-American female impressionist in the history of this country. However, I'm the first. And as Kamala Harris said, I may be the first, but I won't be the last.
Amen. And I want to talk about that. Amen. Hey, Sylvia, can we jump right in? Because I won't have enough time on this platform, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Okay. All right.
Will you talk to us a little bit about your history? I mean, being a DC homegirl, here in our area, especially breaking through and making it all the way to Hollywood, there's a story there because, in our area, we get termed crabs in a barrel, so we got to really be intentional about our efforts. And so our platform, the coalition, is in the process of promoting our trauma center work as it relates to our concerns for mental health and educating the community and bringing the matters of trauma to the forefront so we can overcome. Well, Sylvia, you are certainly our definition of Black excellence. We've been attaching this mission to the understanding that we are a resilient people and we can overcome many things. So will you walk us through your journey and help us understand, how did comedy find you and when did you know, that you had the stuff?
Well, let me just start off by saying this with respect to my career. I'm finally being talked to about doing a movie about my story. Amen. After 52 and a half years. Amen. I just say 53. After 53 years, they finally are recognizing that some stuff went down in these last 52 years that they think the world should know about. And I'm absolutely honored. I did my first impression. I had to be about 5 years old. I didn't know what I was doing. Who knows? I'm just imitating everything I see and hear. Bumblebees, the butterflies, and my teachers, and just whatever. And the problem was when I started doing actual people, and stars, there was nowhere for me to perform. So I did living rooms, backyards, front yards, weddings, birthdays, anniversaries, that whole bit in the early years. And finally, I saw a show called The Flip Wilson Show. John, I'm not sure if you remember this story, but I saw these 4 Black women come out on his stage, and they were absolutely like gorgeous. And I found out that they were contestants from the Miss Black America contest. And they couldn't enter the Miss America contest because rule number 7 said you had to be Caucasian in order to enter the pageant. So I watched them talk to Flip Wilson, and they were saying all they had to do was have some talent, do a bathing suit competition. Even though I was only 110 pounds at the time, I didn't care. And answer a question. I said, I can do that. I can do it. So I entered the pageant, and I ended up tying for first place with a girl by the name of Bernadette Stannis, who happens to be Thelma on Good Times. So,
get out of here.
Yeah. Thelma got the card that night to come and audition at NBC for Good Times. They sent me to Europe to entertain the American troops from the Vietnam War. I had just barely been out of Washington, D.C., much less talk about going to Europe. But we went over there.
Hold on, Sylvia. How old were you at this time? I'm just curious.
At that time, I must have been about 19. I was about 19, 20 years old. And I went to Europe with 3 other girls. 2 of them had to come back to the States, but the other 2, me and the other lady, we stayed and entertained the troops. And while I was there, this guy was watching and reading about us the whole while. And he said, I want to meet that girl that does impressions. And to make a really long story short, when I got back to the States, they flew me out to LA, and I got a chance to meet Red Fox, who signed me to my very first management contract. I didn't even care. John would laugh at this because I didn't have no lawyers, nobody. I just signed the contract, and it was Red Fox. It's Red Fox. And from, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's just so wonderful. I wanted to segue into that. You give it your story with such enthusiasm, and those of us on the outside looking in, we're in awe because we hear all of these third-party understandings about the Hollywood vehicle, you know what I'm saying? And the reality of the pitfalls when you don't have your business in order and things of that nature. But to hear you tell it, it sounds like a journey you would take again.
Well, you know what?
Go ahead.
I'm going to make a pitch for y'all to get off this Zoom call when it's over and go on to Amazon and buy her book, Almost There, Almost.
I was going to touch on that. Thank you for bringing that up. I was going to ask her about her autobiography, so thank you, John. That's when you know you got dear friends, when they make sure to get that plug in. That's how you know.
She gives me 10%. Right? She gives me 10%. So yeah.
So talk to us a little bit, Sylvia, if you would, about any challenges you may have ran into along the way. Because let's face it, you were a first, you were a woman of color. And obviously, you know, there had to be some challenges, not necessarily racism, maybe you felt some discrimination. Could you help us understand how you dealt with that so gracefully?
Well, I had when I was out in California, I found out that there was a club called the Comedy Store. And it may have been 3.5, 4 years old at the time. And I was in line. We'd have to get in line, get a number in order to go on stage and do your 3 minutes. And I was in line with a guy named Jay Leno. I was also sometimes in a line with a guy named David Letterman. And my favorite was Robin Williams. And Robin used to always tell me every time I'd say, you know what, Sylvia, you're going to be big. You're going to be big. And having no idea that he was going to just be everything. He was somebody who, I don't know, if it hadn't been for Robin, I may have had a whole different type of experience with respect to the racism and all that. This guy was so good in his soul. He was so good. You know, he was just somebody I just never forgot. So while there was a lot of no, what can I do? No. What can I get on set? No. Can you do that? No. Why do you want to be a comic anyway? There are no women out here doing comedy, especially Black women. I mean, I would get that question so often, and I just kept moving until I had to go home. My dad died. My mother was in DC by herself, and I didn't want to leave her. So I moved to New York, where I ran into one of my favorite comedians who at the time did not have any popularity whatsoever. And it was at a place called Catch a Rising Star in New York City. And the host of the show was a guy named Jerry Seinfeld.
Wow.
So here comes Jerry Seinfeld.
Sylvia.
Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld. I love him to this day because it was so difficult just trying to get 3 little minutes on the stage, just 3. And it didn't cost anybody anything. And they just never, ever, ever had time for me. And he looked at me that one night. I asked him, and he looked, and he'd seen me before because I'd been there many times, just couldn't get on the stage. And he said, you know what? Sure, why not? Go and do your 3 minutes. And I never, ever forget Jerry for that. And people, I have a lot of people that think, why would you give him credit for part of your upcoming? Well, why wouldn't I give him credit? He gave me a shot on stage when nobody else would even pay me any mind. So anyway, I had nights when we're talking about the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. I've had nights when people were really mean. I mean, I got spit on, I got hit at, I've got a whole bunch of stuff, but I didn't care. I just didn't care. My job for me was to find a microphone. That's what I needed to do. So I did my first professional show in 1969 at Constitution Hall.
Wow, 1969 was a beautiful year, if I say so myself. Okay. Awesome. Sylvia, as you recall these wonderful memories, are there any fond or any of them that stand out more so than others? I mean, I don't know how you could have any that stand out more than others. I mean, Jerry Seinfeld, Dick Ray, you are really Jay Leno. I mean, you have really touched some folks.
It's been a journey, and a lot of people who didn't know that journey and who are now learning about it because I'm becoming more exposed. I've been told that I'm one of the most sought after virtual interviewees in the country right now. So
look, take a bow, sister. Palms up.
I do 2 to 3 virtuals a day from people I have absolutely no clue what's going on, but I love it. And I thank you for bringing me here tonight because this is home. This is home. So I'm there you have it.
Hey, Sylvia, we keep telling them that we are Black excellence at its finest. So we have to keep bringing you guys before them so they understand that, we've got some beautiful living legends that our children and our folks need to know about. So I can't praise you enough. You have really just charted a path that is just amazing. And just being a fellow DC citizen, I am just honored to be in your presence and to know that you came through these streets and that you accomplished so much.
With respect to your question that you asked about one of my fondest memories, aside from Dick Gregory hiring me to replace Richard Pryor, it wasn't like he thought I was on Richard Pryor's level. They just couldn't find anybody at the time. But they had recommended me, and he was like, let's go. And it worked out well. But I think my fondest memory in the entertainment industry is I was on the road with Whitney Houston. She took me on tour with her for 23 cities. And we were in Canada. I'll never forget it. And every night after my show, I would come out front and watch her perform. All of us, her whole team would. And she loved it. So this one particular night, she does this to me. I'm out in this audience and she's looking at me saying, come here. And I was, like, and she said, and I wasn't, what do you want, Whitney? I don't want to do anything. So she sent security to get me.
Oh, wow.
And what I'm about to tell you, when I tell you that I was so just filled with amazement, they brought me out on the stage to her and she grabbed my hand. We had about 15,000 people in the audience.
Wow.
And she raised my hand up in the air and she said, wasn't Sylvia wonderful? Wasn't she just great? Wasn't she great? Wasn't she wonderful? And when I tell you, I believe you could hear the roar of the audience for miles. Wow. So she hugged me. I hugged her back. I left the stage. I almost cry every time I tell the story. And I went back to my dressing room, which, by the way, was, this was next level entertainment. Right. Whitney Houston. I went back to my room. And I sat there and cried because Whitney Houston had just stamped me for the whole world to see, and it was like, wow.
Yeah.
That's one of my fondest memories. So.
Okay, so stay in that energy and tell me any regrets. Do you have any? I know many people try not to live with them, but we're human. So do you, as you look over your landscape in your life's work thus far, are there any projects that you wish you had done, or any, any regrets?
I don't really have any regrets now that I look back at it, because then I wouldn't be where I am today, possibly. But I did really, really, really want to go back out to LA because I saw so many opportunities. But at that time, for me, my parents were a little more important than me running out there trying to be a star. So I needed to make sure my mother was okay. I had to make sure we put our father away properly. And I just went to New York because, New York, LA, what's what? So, yeah. But it's not a regret. It's like, I think about so much stuff that's happened over the years and how I was able to write my autobiography, which John just told you guys about. And in that autobiography, I took out 180 pages because some of the stuff was so off, so crazy that I didn't want to come off seeming like an angry Black woman, because I'm not. I'm a happy, I'm at the top of the happy ladder, whatever you want to call it. Yes. And a lot of people don't know that I sing. So I was able to start doing impressions of singers like Dionne Warwick, Cher, Diana Ross, and I'm doing comics. I'm doing Whoopi Goldberg and Wanda Sykes, and I have a play coming up, a one-woman play entitled The Return of Jackie Moms Mabley.
When is that play? Where can we get information about that play from?
Well, we've been canceled twice because of COVID. We were scheduled to do the Howard Theater in Washington, D.C., but COVID shut all that down. And then with this, we were probably going to do it at the Birchmere in D.C. In Alexandria. What is it? Alexandria? Yeah. But again, COVID's kind of like preventing a lot of stuff. So I don't even have another show, and I hope they don't, because everything's been canceled. My next show is in January 29th with Barbara Carlisle.
January 29th. And where is that at?
That's going to be what is it? It's in Maryland.
Largo, Maryland. I just did that room on the 10th of last month.
Why didn't you tell me, John? Oh my God! You were here.
Look, I don't want to lose time. A couple of things. I'm going to come your way, John, too, because I certainly want to hear from you briefly before we segue and invite our second half guest, Mr. Hardy, who's been very patient. But Sylvia, I want to talk about that.
He looks important too. He looks like he's up there like.
Look, Black excellence, Sylvia. We on it. We're not just gonna talk about it. We're gonna be about it. You know how we do.
I know. Okay, so
let's talk about this autobiography of yours. Almost There, Almost. Why that title? What are we talking about?
Well, for years I thought in order to make it, you had to get the big bag. Get these contracts that's worth $400,000, $500,000. And I hadn't gotten those I had a nice little contract with Whitney, but I hadn't gotten the big ones. I said, I'm almost, I'm almost there. I'm almost at that bag. And I didn't realize that because of so much of the stuff I've toured with everybody, the Temptations and the Four Tops. I did a few shows with Cher. I love Cher. Gladys Knight and the Pips.
Muhammad Ali.
And I hosted Muhammad Ali. I'm the only female in period that's ever hosted a major roast, and that was for Muhammad Ali.
I saw that. I had that in my notes, and I also saw that one of your first SNL assignments was with Miss Linda Ronstadt.
I didn't even get to tell you guys about that.
I did a little bit of homework. I couldn't let my homegirl down. You are amazing. I heard Ben Affleck make a quote about Jennifer Lopez and how admiring it was for him to see how she influences such a population of women and the culture, just being who she is. And I want you to know, my dear Miss Morrison, that you are such an influence, being a local DCite and a woman of color, just to hear your journey and see how humble you are. There's so much to be learned in your journey. Before I let you go, what's on the horizon? You talked about your show on January 29th. Are there any big projects or more collaborations that you'd like to see yourself in the direction of?
Well, to be honest, I'm so excited about the return of Jackie Moms Mabley because I get to do 8 iconic women. You know, I'm saying that I do impressions, but I haven't done any impressions for you guys. I might have to run one or two of them by so that people will.
I was building you up, but since you're already there in that space, I couldn't dare. You know, they would roast me, Sylvia, if I let you get away from me and not let you sample of this greatness that I had the opportunity to observe. So will you show us a few just to kind of help our folks out there understand what you already know and what we know? You're the greatest.
Sure. Well, I was saying that I'm doing 8 iconic women, and it's been a dream of mine to make sure that the millennials, the younger people, are aware of these women who opened doors for many of us. You know, Moms Mabley was the only comic that I knew. And by the way, my story is just so wild. My house was across the street from her house. So we lived cat-a-corner from each other on First Street in Northwest Washington. She had this big house on the corner. I had this little baby house over to the side. But it was right across the street from hers. And so I'm doing Moms Mabley, but I'm also introducing to some and bringing back for others people like Ella Fitzgerald, who's a scat artist.
Yeah.
Sarah Vaughan. Bringing Billie Holiday, we just added Josephine Baker because
my gosh,
we just awesome. And when I tell you, I should be ashamed of myself for not knowing how monstrous this woman was. She was. I sat there in awe for like an hour just watching all of her videos, and then I realized I could do her voice. I mean, she had that 1920s roaring, amazing. When you get a chance, go and look her up. I said, I can do Josephine Baker. So we also have Nancy Wilson, and I'm doing Aretha Franklin.
Franklin.
I'm so looking forward to this play because
goodness. Well,
a lot of people.
I saw you do Whoopi. Hold on, will you do Whoopi?
Sure. Wait a minute. But
Thank you, Sylvia.
You know, earlier today, I had an epiphany. That I was going to be on this show tonight, and all kinds of good folks were going to show up, you know, and they have. So.
Amen. Palms up, Queen. Thank you for that. Hey guys, it's your girl, and on the Palms Up Show, we are showcasing Black excellence, our very own home girl, Sylvia Traymore Morrison. If you don't know, you need to know. Guys, please go to Amazon and check out her autobiography. Almost, how do we get it? Let's see. Almost There, Almost.
Yeah.
Please look up that autobiography. Now, Sylvia, before you get out of here, 2 things. One, I want to do word association because obviously we want folks to learn that mental health exists in all platforms and in all personalities. So when we do a word association on the platform, we're just trying to connect that to your greatness. So we do word association. If I said mental health wellness to you, what would be the first words that came to your mind?
Sadness.
Amen. Amen.
Sadness.
And just because of that, we need to recognize that there's still work to do, because the truth of the matter is there are a lot of people sad and hurting, and we've got to do better as a culture. But first, we've got to be aware. Thanks so much for that, Queen. And now, would you please introduce us to your beautiful colleague who took the time to come to the platform, please?
Well, let me tell you guys about Mr. John Hur. We called him when he was in the DC area, he'll always be a part of the DC area, but we called him John Hurricane.
Oh,
wow.
That's his name is Hurricane. Yeah.
That says a lot.
Yeah. So he knew every bit, and you know what? The Black community just embraced him so deeply because he was like maybe the realest white guy I knew. I mean, I'm just calling it like I see it. You know, he was, and then he was funny. His comedy was pretty brilliant in terms of the. He had this. If you had to listen to him, and if you listened, you got so much. He was like so spellbinding.
She keeps talking in the past tense. I'm a little worried.
Wait a minute. No, I'm coming to the
work you
future.
in here before we talk you away from here. How does Sylvia?
I'm coming to the future because when his work, because that's a whole nother story. His work took him away from the area for a minute, and we missed him. Like, I know I was like a little, I'm going to say the word devastated, because he was one. If you saw John come into the club, if you saw him come into your club where you were working, you knew that he was going to bring something totally different. And from what I have not seen him in such a long time, that's why I'm a little pissed off that I didn't know he was here in town, because there's no way nobody could have kept me from that show. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about this man that you're about to talk to. Get yourselves ready, because I don't know what he's going to talk about and I don't know what he's going to say, but I do know this: when he's done, you will have received some serious jewels. Serious. Please welcome to the forefront, John Hur. I call him John Hurricane.
Awesome. Yeah. Hello, Mr. Hur, and a heartfelt thumbs up to you. Welcome to the platform.
Thank you. I wasn't. I was just prepared to sit in and learn some stuff,
Well,
and to say hi to Sylvia, who I miss terribly. I was in Alabama from 2014 to 2019, and I didn't do any comedy down there. I hosted a couple of shows early on, but I didn't really do any comedy, but I kept writing. Yeah. And then when I moved back to Pennsylvania after my mom died, and that's where I am right now. I'm in Pennsylvania, but I come down to DC every
wait a minute, John. Wait until you hear who he's written for in the past. Wait until you hear. Oh, okay. Go ahead, John. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no.
Go ahead.
Well, give me the name, man. Give me the name.
Which president do I need to say anything?
I worked for, this is my professional side, the stuff that pays the bills. I worked in the Bush White House for the father Bush, and I worked in the Bush White House for the son Bush.
Yes.
Okay.
And I worked on a bunch of campaigns, and I also wrote
speeches. He's going to be real. He's going to be real humble and all. Okay, go ahead.
I'm just covering it. And I wrote speeches for Tom Ridge at Homeland Security and Governor, and I also wrote jokes for. There's a contest called the Funniest Celebrity in DC, and I used to write jokes for the congressman. And there was a black Republican congressman named Allen West.
Okay.
And I remember one of the jokes that I wrote for him is one of my favorites. He came to Capitol Hill, very conservative, almost kind of a Trumpy guy, but a black Republican from Florida. And I wrote a joke about how he got there and he was so impressed with the friendly greetings he got. In fact, he said, I met Congressman John Lewis, and the first thing he said to me was that he reminded me that I reminded him of his Uncle Tom. So I thought that was very nice.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Hey, John, will you give us really quickly, because we are honored, and there's no way we can have a legend at the platform and not give you an opportunity to greet us really quickly. I'd like to know your fondest Sylvia Traymore memory, and then how can we find you to understand your journey and body of work?
Well, I remember, and I'm not going to go the past tense route, but my favorite memories, I used to do a ton of clubs in PG and DC back from like 06 to 2012, 2013 when I moved to Alabama. And she was such a treat wherever she was playing. I remember her collection of different wigs, and she would break out for each character. And my favorites were the Muhammad Ali, the Whoopi Goldberg, the Wendy Williams was a highlight.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how you doing? Okay.
Then she would close the show with a Diana Ross that Diana Ross wishes she was.
Come on, girl. That's a memory.
Sylvia.
Hey, John.
Well, we did rooms for 12 people, and we did rooms for 112 people.
That's right.
And I was just happy to be along. I mean, my highlight was my high level mark was I opened for John Witherspoon at the DC Improv, but
Awesome.
I didn't break through to the like nationally touring side, but I'm trying that now, and I'm working on. By the way, I'm working on a documentary of the DC comedy scene, and I want to interview and get some more good stuff from Sylvia. She's going to be an important part of it, along with Tony Woods and some other people. So
we can't wait. How do we find you and follow your work or follow what you're doing on social media?
Well, I'm not really a big Instagram. I'm not on Instagram or Twitter that much, but I'm on Facebook quite a bit. And I put up my schedules on there. I'm normally, if you want to see me do comedy, I'm in DC there's a place called the DC Comedy Club in Adams Morgan.
Very familiar with that. Mm-hmm.
They're doing shows on Fridays and Saturdays at 9 p.m. at a place called Club Heaven and Hell.
Oh, yes. I know club. Yeah, I know that club. Okay.
You two legends, I thank you so much. Of course, we don't have enough time. We would like to leave the door open because you both have projects coming down the line, and we'd love to bring you back so that our community can stay abreast of what you're doing. Again, guys, please go to Amazon and look for that Almost There Almost, which is the autobiography of this beautiful legend and homegirl, Miss Sylvia Traymore Morrison. Now, you know, Sylvia, I would be dragged if I didn't let our dear Ann Cole come to the forefront, who I know is your dear sister, kindred spirit sister, and I would love for her to weigh in on this evening interview before we let you go. And I thank Mr. Hardy for being patient, and I also thank you, Mr. Hur, for the bonus interview. Come on, Real Talk.
Oh my God, this has been a pleasure, because really this evening I'm in a not so good place. Those have been following Palms Up. I've opened my life up when it comes to COVID and going through the vaccination process. So tomorrow I'll be taking my booster, and what my trigger is, I got caught up in the 9/11 situation, and went to work one day and didn't have a choice in the matter, and they made us all go to DC General, and I had to take this medication. So it kind of takes me back to that. And a couple of years after I took that, I ended up retiring with respiratory disease. So, but being a leader, I'm like, let's step forward and take this walk. My son's in school, so I'm always getting emails, COVID, and having to, watch out for him. So it's real stressful. And today the governor announced 30-day emergency. It's just really crazy, but it's real, and Palms Up is about being really real. So I'm in a vulnerable stage. So I'm just real quiet to get myself prepared to go ahead, because with the second one, Rhonda ended up following me. I had to go to the emergency room. I had a adverse reaction to it, and I called my girl, and she was right there at Southern Maryland Hospital. But to be a leader, you got to go forth. But it's all good. Right. I ain't scared. I'm going forth because there's a lot of work got to be done. So it is.
And speaking of that, will you please give a closeout message to our dear Miss Traymore, because I know you guys are kindred spirits. I thank you for sharing that update. Hey guys out there, Palms Up. Our health is our wealth, and obviously we can't go forward and be the excellence that we are if we're not taking care of ourselves. So thanks for that update, Real Talk. Do you have any words of wisdom or kindred, message for our beautiful guest before we move forward to Mr. Hardy?
Life is a gamble. That's all I can say.
Okay. Well, I wanted to say to you real quickly, if it's okay, I wanted to say, when you talked about COVID, I also have another book out called Me, Satan, God, and COVID-19. Because all four of us were in the room together. I had COVID. You're talking about, so here you go. I had to hurry up and get this out here. So you are so right, Dr. Coles. Yes.
That reminds me, Sylvia, how can we follow you? Are you on Instagram or Facebook, or how do they get in touch and follow your beautiful work?
They can follow me every week right here on your show. No, I'm only kidding.
Hey, I love that. You ain't said nothing.
They can reach me on all social media networks, including TikTok and Nick Knock and Cap Pow and all of that. Facebook.
Sylvia writes books like I eat Doritos. I mean, she is always like,
all right, because I didn't even mention the Jelly Beans from Heaven book.
Oh no! Hey guys, it's your girl, Palms Up. I tell you, we don't have enough time, and we got a beautiful soul waiting in the wings. But we want to give a beautiful shout out and palms up to Miss Sylvia Traymore Morrison. She's a legend. She's a homegirl. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. We're going to be posting this video, guys, so that you guys can get the info. Please share it. Start talking it up in the communities. We got a beautiful comic, Mr. John Hare, a beautiful legend who's giving us these wonderful pearls of experience that help us to understand that this journey is doable, guys. Black excellence, it takes a lot to support our ability to rise above. And when we say Black excellence, we're not putting anybody else down. We're just exalting that which is our power so that we can overcome much of the things that we tend to have to overcome. And looking at that beautiful face on the screen, she's a homegirl and she knows very much a lot about overcoming. Sylvia, thank you so very much. Please hang out with us.
You know what? I'm not going. I was going to ask, can I stay on for Mr. Hardy? Because it just seems like he's going to bring something deep.
Yes, he's been patient and he's
yes, he is.
If you will join me in welcoming our beautiful Mr. Sherman Hardy. Guys, I tell you, when we talk about Black excellence and we talking about who's watching that kingdom, it is important that just as we are tackling the entertainment understandings of the world, we also have to do the work here locally. And many of our families are going through. And so on the Palms Up platform, we're about exposing education. And so many of you may not do the work and go find out what choices you have. So if you're someone out there living in Prince George's County and you don't believe that our current county executive is doing the best that she could be doing for you, then I want to introduce you to a beautiful soul, Mr. Sherman Hardy. Mr. Hardy, will you come to the forefront?
Hey. Yes. Thank you for having me. And the bar has been set so high, so I hope I can deliver.
You'll be fine. You make the mark. You make the mark, King. Let's jump right in. Thanks so much for your patience. And then for our Facebook viewing and YouTube viewing audience, who is Sherman Hardy and why politics for Sherman Hardy?
Well, Sherman Hardy is just an ordinary guy trying to do something extraordinary. I am running for county executive of Prince George's County because I want to bring about true systemic and generational changes for the individuals who live here and even the people that pass through. It is my hope that I can usher us into the future because it's already here. The future is here now.
I love that. And my next question was going to be why now? And you just answered that because our future is now and we've got to start getting prepared for how we're going to go into this future. Now, with our current county executive, what types of areas do you see that maybe you can improve upon where this particular administration may not have, they've missed the mark, so to speak? Where do you see opportunity for you to come in and bring improvement?
Well, in general, I'm looking at it from a holistic approach. There are things that we need in the county, such as the services that, are provided typically by the county executive that we need to enhance. We need to make sure that our education system is running smoothly, that our police department is not, going through lawsuits every time you turn around. We need to make sure that Department of Permanent Inspection is doing, things that they need to be doing. There's so many agencies that I believe are doing the best that they can, but with a different vision, a different direction, we can enhance and improve upon that.
Okay. And then obviously, Mr. Hardy, I'm not sure that your name is one that many recognize. Should we associate to any other prior run for office that you may have had, or have you been around politics at all, or is this kind of your first run?
Well, my fifth grade teacher, who is Frederica Wilson's Congresswoman's daughter, introduced me at the graduation as the first African-American president. Barack got that first. It's okay. Like you say, we can be second.
Thumbs up, brother. I love that.
But no, prayerfully, it doesn't take that long to get somebody else in there who looks like me, because we need that representation. But definitely, you know, I just feel like we're at a pivotal point in here, and I want to be able to provide resources to our county. You know, we feel like we're the highest tax the most underrepresented in the area. And I kind of borrowed DC slogan, overtaxed, and, you know, but, you know, without representation. And that's kind of how a lot of people in this county feel, that, you know, they're doing the bare minimum, and I'm trying to do the most.
Okay, well, let's talk about that for a minute, and not to put you on the spot, but I know a couple of things have come across our radar just because of the work we do with mental health, and I want to talk a little bit more in detail about that in a moment. But help us understand, when we find out or hear that there are no, for example, drug treatment facilities readily, you know, available in abundance in the Prince George's County area, and then when we obviously see the tents start to pop up around, you know, the local thoroughfares and things like that. Is that something that's on your administration's radar in terms of the homelessness circumstance, and then obviously the reality of so many that are, like you said, going without? Is that a boots on the ground right out the gate, or what are you going to need in order to do something, you know, immediately? Because folks are hurting now.
Yeah. Okay. First, let me first of all say that yes, it is a priority of mine to end homelessness within Prince George's County. But I also want to go back to your previous question, because I realized I didn't answer it correctly. You asked me about, you know, my affiliation with politics, and that was part of it. You know, my fifth grade teacher announced me that. But, you know, I've worked for Delegate Diana Fennell. She was the one who introduced me into, the political, you know, process here in Prince George's County. I worked her for a couple of years, but I've also been the secretary for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference here in Prince George's County. And there we provided blankets to the homeless. We advocated for the body cameras that were installed, and also through my efforts, we were able to get the Police Reform Commission started, as I had been advocating for that during Freedom Summer 2020. But some of the other things that I've been helpful in doing is also ensuring that property taxes would be increased, through the Realtor Association. I advocated, sternly to make sure that property owners were still respected in the county. And if anything, we should be lowering taxes. That's kind of what I'm working on my platform, is to lower our property taxes as well. But as far as talking about homelessness and eradicating that, we all know that housing first is crucial. It's pivotal, regardless of what you believe someone's mental state is, whether there's drug addiction or anything like that. Maslow's hierarchy of needs says, you first need shelter. That's shelter and safety. That's the basic that we need in our community. And if you don't feel safe in your neighborhood, and if you don't have, the four walls and a roof to put over your head, there's insecurity, and that's the basis of it all. And having the insecurity in your home, it creates an unstableness throughout, your entire life. I know that for a fact.
Okay, I appreciate that. And thumbs up to you. You speak so well, and it's certainly you're going to get my attention every time you start quoting Maslow's hierarchy. There's just some things that we need to be on point about. Hey, Mr. Hardy, let's talk a little bit about where people can follow up and find you. Are you on social media? Do you have a website? How can they follow up to read more about you?
So it's hardy4pg.com, Hardy, Hardy, the number 4, pg.com. That's my website. You can learn about me there. You can learn about my platform and, my hopes and wishes for Prince George's County. And also on social media, it's the same, it's at Hardy4pg. So those are the multiple ways that you can get in contact with me. I'm very responsive. So hopefully, your audience definitely checks me out and are doing that so right now. Well, after the show, rather.
Okay, well, let's do some education. First and foremost, are you signing up volunteers?
Yeah, absolutely. They can register on my website, and I'm also accepting donations there too, because we know campaigns take money, especially grassroots campaigns.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Mr. Hardy, let's talk a little bit about you running and choosing the county executive role as opposed to any other role. Was there any reason why you felt like the county executive was more something that you would go after, and why?
Yeah, because I wanted to be at my highest and best purpose and usage. and I understand the intricate details of operating government. I've worked in government all my life, you know, in different levels. I've been a leader all of my life since I was in the Air Force. You know, they taught me since, you know, basic training on leading, because you never know when you are next in that chain of command that have to take charge of, you know, whole platoon. Outside of the military, you know, I was an operations officer for, you know, the entire Guard force in Iraq, on one of the bases. So, you know, I've had different types of experiences, and I'm also an emergency manager by trade. I went to school at American Military University, who was one of the first universities to have the emergency management program. So, you know, that was something that I was passionate about, because, you know, doing the disasters and emergency is the most vulnerable place that a person can be. And I just like to help people. So I said, you know, if I can learn how to do that, you know, it would definitely, you know, be beneficial to all aspects of our life, whether I was in politics or I was just a regular Joe Smo in the community. Because I'm just Sherman. You know, I was born Sherman, I'm going to die Sherman. But what I can do while I'm here is help people.
Amen. I love that. Black excellence at its finest, guys. Palms up. You heard it here first. I want you to know that, Mr. Hardy, you represent our millennial population. And you know, some of our voters that are set in their ways, they don't understand that you guys are leaders in your own respect, as you shared. And so we've got to do some educating, and we've got to help them to understand it. It's about getting the best person for the job in the position. So let's talk a little bit about that. Is there anything that you would like to educate our voters on in terms of when the election voting cycle is? What your perfect world scenario would be for folks and voters that are watching you this evening? What's your call to action?
My call to action is definitely to vote. Regardless of who you vote for, do vote. You know, the lady behind me, Miss Fannie Lou Hamer, she, you know, was beat, you know, in order for us to have that right to vote. And people, we take that for granted, but our right to vote is being attacked every day.
Amen.
And
Amen.
whether you use it or you don't use it, you should still have the option. That should still be your choice, whether you vote or whether you don't. But don't allow somebody to take that from you. Never do that.
Amen.
I equate that to your freedom.
Amen. And Sherman, when is your election period starting, and how much time do folks have to get educated?
So right now, this is like, you know, getting into the middle of the home stretch, because it's in June. So, you know, things are going to ramp up. I'm going to need volunteers, because there's going to be so many precincts that we have to cover, you know, through early voting, you know, and actually election day. Also doing a lot of door knocking some ways. You know, what we need to do is show the community that we are showing up, you know, because I'm not doing this for me. You know, I'm doing this for us, you know, because I want to bring politics back to the people. You know, for far too long, we have given that power away, and I'm trying to show people that we can't bring that power back. And I want to be, you know, my motto is truth, trust, and transparency. You know, when I say that, I want to make sure that the people who we are legislating on have a say in what we're doing. Because far too often people are left out of that process, or things are slid under the, whereas we just found out that the day of that something is happening, and I don't think that should be the case. You know, this is not ours. This is not mine per se. It's ours.
That's right. Government.
So that's how I equate my campaign to be.
That's right. Government of the people, for the people, by the people is what it should look like. And I thank you, you brave soul, for stepping up to the plate. Many of us have a lot of opinions, and we do a lot of talking out there, palms up. But do we put our money where our mouth is and not throw our hat in the ring? Mr. Hardy, I thank you. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out and a very heartfelt palms up to Miss Fannie Lou Hamer, because I am very familiar with her niece, Reverend Stephen Turner, and his wife up in Baltimore are very dear colleagues of mine. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't give a heartfelt shout out to their beautiful family. Mr. Hardy, would you again please give us your website? And before you get out of here, Word Association, you know we're a platform that takes mental health in the conversation everywhere we go. So Word Association would be mental health wellness, what comes to mind, and then help us understand where we can follow you at again.
Underrated. And you can follow me at www.hardyforpg.com and at hardyforpg.com.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Definitely underrated. And as somebody, you know, I can be vulnerable with you all and say I suffer from mental, you know, illness. So it's not something that, you know, we should be afraid of. Like, quite honestly, a lot of us are walking around here
Come
with
on
something
now.
wrong with
Come on
us,
now.
and we have not done the work and have not tried to understand it or work through that process. And that's why we have a lot of people around here looking,
That's right. Going through.
Yeah.
Well, brother,
Yeah.
I thank you. I love that you're so aware. We need to make sure that whoever your choices are out there, as you heard the beautiful brother say, please vote. And palms up to you, Mr. Hardy, for being so patient and bringing this beautiful message. Do you have anything else that we didn't get out to this viewing audience that you feel like you'd like to say before we bid you adieu?
No, I think we covered hardyforpg.com, that we should go there, we should donate, that we should donate, that we should
Donate,
sow that seed.
volunteer.
Yes, volunteer, because you can donate different things, your time or your money, but definitely please do, because once again, this is grassroots and we're trying to do something extraordinary, and bring politics back to Prince George's, because I want a place where we can live, play, work, and enjoy. That's something that we need back here, is entertainment and enjoyment.
Hey, brother, you got your work cut out for you. Palms up. Just know that our door and our platform is open to you. Our goal is to educate our folks so that they can be empowered to take part in the decision makings in their lives and their livelihood. And just as you said, quoting Maslow's hierarchy, sorry about that. I don't know how we expect to help folks in their mental health and in their standards of care if we are not making sure that their housing is addressed. So we've got a homeless and a housing situation in this area that has to be addressed if we're going to truthfully, comprehensively, and culturally help our citizens in need. Mr. Hardy, God bless you and good luck to you out there on the campaign trail. Thanks so much again for stopping by the platform. Hey guys, it's your girl, and palms up just like that. We complete another week. We've got
one more thing, Rhonda. One thing that we can offer. Yes, one thing we can offer, because this is election time, that I am one of the volunteers on the Board of Education that is actually doing registration for Prince George's County. So if you're not a registered voter, if you could come through our platform, we can set up an appointment and I can do the application and actually walk it over to the Board of Elections so you can have the opportunity to vote. Please vote.
I love that. Why don't we just plan to set up a link so that we can start circulating the link and helping our folks to become accountable in their voting. And guys, if you need some education, if you're just not sure, talk it up out there. Ask some questions. Just don't do nothing. You all have to do something. Palms up. All righty, we're going to get out of here. I tell you, this has been such a full show. I keep trying to figure out if there's anything else. I believe we left it all on the table. Hey, guys, just like we said to you before, and we keep saying to you, we've got to keep an eye on the kingdom out there. When we come together, there's nothing we can accomplish as a people. It's important to make sure that we're taking care of one another in this climate of pandemic. And I need you to know, as you heard our dear guest say, mental health, word of association, sad, underrated. What is your word of association? Because I promise you, whatever it is, it's relevant. Mental health is everywhere, and it's time for us to start recognizing that, remove the stigma, and go forward to live our best life. Hey, guys, it's your girl, palms up. Love you guys out there. Keep an eye on that kingdom until we see you next week. And a beautiful, heartfelt thank you to our incomparable guest, Miss Sylvia Traymore Morrison, and our awesome Mr. John Hare, who just stopped by, and also Mr. Sherman Hardy, who is bringing politics back to Prince George's County the way he sees it to be. Hey guys, it's your girl. Share the feed. We need you out there. Ain't no snow and no technology God's gonna stop this message. Get that autobiography. Almost there, almost. Miss Sylvia Traymore Morrison. Thank you, you beautiful Black people. Excellence at its finest. Thank you. Palms up.
Love you to life.